Oh, great.
Yeah, good.
All right, turn on a little light so you can see a little better. And everything. I'm staying close to y'all, man. I'm not playing around. Y'all know what y'all heard what's going on in Russia, of course.
Yeah.
Peace and y'all bless, brothers.
Yeah, bless.
Hi, Lee.
Yeah.
How you doing, Dave?
Good. I can't see you.
Oh,
Oh, there you
there's a
are.
lot
Okay,
of-
no. I gotcha.
there's a lot of light behind me, so you know what I mean. That's what I've got going on. I'm see if I can adjust this thing. Is that better?
Well, that's a nice
much
key
better.
pie you're wearing,
Oh,
brother.
you like that?
Yeah.
That's right.
Where can we get these from? I mean,
Hey, brother Benaiah's wife has made me 4 nice ones, and she will make some for you as well. So you know,
You gonna put it to work, huh?
send them over. Send them over. I need one.
Send 'em over.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's made them.
I got to get rid of this shiny bit here, you know.
I got one too, man. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I would need a big
You
one.
know, you see, you have a head full of hair. See, I'm losing a lot of my hair, so I
Yeah,
keep my head covered.
Don't be fooled by Henry. He super glued that stuff on there.
That's what it is. Yes, indeed. Who else is coming to the party? Who else is going to be available for us?
Delvin's supposed to come, and Kwame said he will try and make it.
Okay, that's what we have to look forward to.
Good. So okay, good. So Delvin is coming.
Yeah, Delvin. Yeah, he's just taking a quick shower because he just finished work.
Okay, good.
It's all right. He didn't need to do that. We can't smell him from here.
That's what this is.
You know,
This is true.
we've got some interesting things going on at the moment that I'm certain that our people would like to hear our viewpoints on. So that'll be interesting.
Are you referring to Russia and Ukraine and stuff?
Yeah, everything. Not only that, the economical climate is very different as far as the expenses and the high inflation and things like that, uncertainty. So folks right now are really, I mean, it's to the point to where, you know, you really have to kind of knuckle down and cut back and things like that. So it's getting difficult for everyone.
Well, yes. I mean, you know, everyone, as you say.
Everywhere. And that's
Yeah.
the other part, for everyone, everywhere.
Yes.
You know?
But here's where we differ. You know, all this hardship and suffering. Well, that's a Wednesday for us.
And that's good, because we have many people are not able to endure such hardships.
Mhm.
And so now if what we're seeing is indeed the reversal of these curses, it's going to be amazing to see how our enemies and those who have mistreated us and done all of these bad things to us throughout the earth, how they handle what we have been through and for the most part still are going through.
I mean, haven't you been paying attention? That's exactly what's been happening since 2019, or
Right.
even before that. I mean, the biggest thing over where you live is well, I mean, since the 70s and 80s, it's been drugs. They flooded the black community with drugs, and then when people got hooked on them, then they criminalized them and then started hauling them away. Well, you know, just think what's going on now. The opioid crisis.
Right.
Our people aren't getting hooked on drugs anymore, but they are. And now they've decriminalized it and made it a
sickness.
Sickness now.
That's a health issue.
Yeah.
But that's not helping them. That's not helping them. They're and also the whole deaths of despair. That's how they're handling it. You know, they're not. They're checking out because it's too much for them. You know.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm thinking as it pertains to that, when you look at a negative birth rate that's going on throughout the earth for them as well, I'm certain that's a concern. They're seeing a shift of the winds. I'm thinking that's causing some fear. That's causing some concerns. And certainly I'm seeing what's going on my sentiment as I look around on YouTube and see exactly what our people are discussing, what I'm seeing more so now is the blatant hypocrisy of our enemies being put on full display. And our people are now beginning, I think, to understand, as you've just mentioned, Dave, pertaining to how we were criminalized during the drug epidemic, okay? And now that they're experiencing the same thing, and how it is just all of a sudden, there's no need to throw you in jail and then throw away the key. All of a sudden now we have to kind of change the policy and actually get you some help.
Nice
So,
to them.
Yeah, the hypocrisy is being shown, and now it's going to the heathen that may hear this now has to make a decision. Do I side with my people who have done wrong, have walked contrary to the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts, have not been upright and righteous in the dealings with these people? Or do I see that my people have been wrong and have wronged these people, and I still continue to stay on the side of wrong and actually incur these penalties and punishments that's going to come on my people? So now I'm thinking, as they start to see this thing unfold and unleash upon them, and they're not going to understand from whence it came, how did we go from this to this, and we're unable to stop it, they're going to be forced with this decision of, okay, do I turn to the Most High? Do I turn to do that which is right? Or do I continue in the path of my forefathers and bear the brunt of this blow? So I'm thinking that's where they actually are at the moment. And it may get, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm sorry, I'm looking for something because I want to show something. But yeah, I might have disappeared for a second, or check out for a second.
That's fine. When you get it, bring it up, because I'd like to see it.
Yeah. No, that it's already been reversing, and you know, as you said, the population crisis. You know, they're trying to push this overpopulation idea, right? But it's no, we're not definitely not in overpopulation. You know, as you say, all their nations are dying out. I mean, they've gone past the point of no return. And I've got so many references to show that literally there's nothing mathematically, there's nothing they can do to reverse this. So the Most High has been at work all this time, you know, with this, and there's only one continent in the world that is not dying out. It's still growing despite everything, and we can all guess which continent that is.
That's
right. That's right.
They tried to bring a lot of people to Europe to try to repopulate Europe. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, I've come across something which sounds extremely science fiction, but I think it's how we got to this situation in the first place. As I say, it's going to sound very science fiction-y, so be ready. Okay. So I was looking at I was getting echo from. I was looking at the Benjamin Franklin quote from 1755, which basically said that there were very few white people in the world. Okay, he said that they were in Saxony, in Germany, in England, and the few that are over in America. That's it, right? Very few in the world. Okay. Then I was looking at the phenomenon of the World's Fairs. I don't know if you've come across these. Anyone? The World's Fairs? Okay.
Yeah, I have not.
Oh, we had a World's Fair here in New Orleans back in 1984.
Right. Now I'm talking about I'm talking about the World's Fairs in 18 something.
The 1800s, yes. I know
1800s.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Delvin, by the way.
Peace and y'all bless, brother Delvin.
Bless.
Hey, brother. Peace.
So these World Fairs, they're a bit of an enigma because it was literally a massive city was built, apparently, which it wasn't. It was found, I think, a massive city that was featured buildings that we can't build today, and it was lit up like a Christmas tree at a time when they were struggling to light up New York, right? Now, in this city, in this World's Fair, they had a display of incubators, children in incubators. Okay. Now I kept seeing this, all these incubators, and it was people would come and see these live babies in incubators. But I found one picture, a weird picture, on the wall behind these incubators. It said, "Amazing growth, 1 year in 1 hour." Right. Keep that in the back of your mind.
1
because
year in 1 hour.
Yes, I'll see if I can find a picture and show it to you in a little while. But amazing growth. It could be, I could have got that wrong, but it was still an amazing sort of like they were growing children, right?
At a very fast rate.
At a very fast rate.
Okay.
Then you find out about the same time about orphan trains. So in New York in particular, there were something like 300,000 orphans put on trains and taken out west to populate cities out west. Okay. And then when you find out, when you look a bit further, you find out.
Push my space around. All right, go ahead.
Okay. You find out that these orphans were being shipped everywhere around the world. It wasn't just in America, it was in Europe, in England. All of a sudden, it was just hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of orphans. No explanation where they come from, just loads of orphans, loads of orphanages, and these orphans were being shipped off to Australia, to Russia, to various places all over the world. But there were no black orphans. Mm-hmm. So, it explains how in 1755, there were very few around. And then all of a sudden, say less than 50 years later, everywhere. I know it sounds crazy.
You think they would try a repeat of that if they could?
I think because these cities, right? These were World's Fairs. They were destroyed afterwards. All the buildings were destroyed, and I think the technology was destroyed with it, like all the other technology that that came with these cities. But literally, I can't find any other explanation for why in 1755 there's only a few of them, and then in a very short time they're everywhere. I also think they have a very short shelf life. We have that phrase, black don't crack. Yeah. But what if it's not really? It's humans have a normal lifespan and others don't.
Right. Well, what are your sources, Dave? That's interesting. I mean, it does sound kind of scientific-y, science fiction-y, but at the same time, it sounds like something. It sounds plausible in a sense. Right. You know what I mean?
I'm afraid to say, Dave is spot on. Okay, there's a lot of things that has happened. That a lot of us Israelites don't know much about. Now, Dave knows that I know a lot about this stuff as well. And I can categorically say Dave is almost spot on. Okay. Now, as regards to this reset now that's happening now, the very same things will be happening now. What we do know is that the world fairs, they were just education systems whereby these children, these people were born like test tube babies, all right underground. They all came up and had to learn what they had to do in each country. We don't have countries, we have corporations. Each were going to be leaders of each corporation. And once those world fairs were finished, they were demolished, not killing or getting rid of the technology, keeping the technology for themselves, how these buildings were made. But they don't use that technology now to make buildings because it's a long process. So the buildings we have now are much simpler, are much easier to make and easier to design. So that's exactly how the world was populated. We have been written out of the books that created this new world we're living in, this new matrix we're in now. The Israelite people, men and women, were written out of these books. That's why all the history books that you have in America and so on and so forth, they all talk about these populated countries and what they did, and their infrastructure was all made up. That wasn't the real infrastructure. That was the infrastructure that was given to the people who went to these world fairs, and they learned what they had to do in each country. And that's how each country had their own infrastructure. It was given to them. But the original infrastructure before that time was kept a secret and was hidden away from the people. And so that went along with the Book of Remembrance, which has been manipulated, and also the creation of the New Testament. That's all to do with the 1800s and those world fairs that Dave was referring to just then. So a lot of this is all relative. It's all very relative because, if you don't know your past, you don't know your future, basically. And a lot of these things we've got to take into consideration because that gives us an idea of what's happening right now. And that's when they talk about resets. This is what they're talking about. But most people don't know the fullness of it.
Oh, okay. Henry, could you allow me to share screen? Henry, wake up, Henry.
Oh, Henry's on mute. Oh, there you go.
He can hear you.
Well, I think you're sharing screen now, Henry. I mean, can you allow me to share screen? I'm viewing where you look at your screen, Henry.
Okay.
So
You got to allow me to share screen. I don't know what you've disabled screen sharing.
yeah, it says share screen.
Or make me host, one of the two. I think that I don't know how you do that though.
In the meantime, Benaya, you asked for sources. There are plenty of different TV or YouTube men and women who are talking about this right now. There's many channels you can go on and find out a lot about this, and it's very, very interesting. We've got to get to grips with a lot of this stuff because it's very relative for now. I think I could send Henry a list of different TV programs you can watch. Well, I say TV, YouTube programs you can watch, and they're very, very interesting about the buildings, about the train lines, about. I mean, it sounds crazy, not to me now, but it will sound crazy to you. Things like mobile phones, you may think they came out in whatever, 1900 whatever, or 1980 whatever. No, they've always been there. I'm afraid to say technology has not progressed. They've had technology from day one, and they've filtered it into society, whereby the people they have in place can earn from that discovery or earn from that technology. That's how it's filtered out. It isn't filtered out to the general public so we can all have it. It's filtered out to different corporations so they can filter it out to their people so they continue to have financial growth and the people have less. That's how it's always been, and that's how it's always going to be until it stops.
David, we do the oath.
Okay. So tell me if you see the screen.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. So this is from one of the World's Fairs, one of the incubators. I don't know why this, right? So we have to, and these are pictures from the Orphan Trains. Yeah. So they're just lining up. There's another one from the Orphan Trains going out west. Yeah, just all these children with no explanation from where, you know, where they come from. I think I've got to go the other way. Hang on a second. Move that across.
Dave, I think it's recording on your side now.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. So this is the picture I was trying to tell you about. This is again one of these world fairs. 12 months growth in 1 hour. So I don't know, you know. I don't know, but you know,
You
I'm
do.
just
You do
I'm
know.
just
You
putting a few things together. Yeah.
You do know. You do know. That's exactly how
Right.
it's done. That's exactly how it's done. And they've left a few things documented so we can find out, but you'd never really know or understand the position we're in now. A lot of these secrets are coming out. When I was in Turkey, and I spoke about this before, you know, it's all very relative because you get an idea of how the infrastructure of the situation we're in now has begun. It's all a movie, all a matrix. It's all something they formulated to keep us suppressed and with lack of knowledge. So when you look into these things further and further, with all these trade fairs, and they got rid of all the buildings, all these cities that had these trade fairs as well, they always have a lot of these buildings that will go on fire, that always burn down, you know, and they'll be hiding basically the technology that's within these buildings. We're talking churches, post offices, all the train stations, all these big buildings that you see are old world. Some of them been stripped of the technology inside of it, so we won't know what they are. But churches were never churches, and post offices were never post offices. Train lines have always been here, and the underground system in America and all the major cities, Moscow, London, all those underground facilities, tube trains, etc., they've always been there. They've just cleaned them out and reused them.
Well, I didn't want to derail this because it's just something interesting I found. But Benial, if you wanted to do a little research on it, look up Tartaria. Even though it's not, people think it's this empire that is secret, and I think it's a lot bigger scale than this. You know what they're thinking. But if you search for Tartaria, you know you'll find all these buildings and buildings that are half submerged under the ground as well, all over the world. So, but anyway, I didn't want to derail this. This was just something really interesting that I was.
Could you spell that for me, Dave?
Tartaria? Yeah, Tartaria.
Dave, can you put them pictures up again? Because I think when I made you the host, he stopped recording from my side and recorded on your side, I think.
Oh, okay.
If you just put them photos up again.
Okay, all right. Let me share it again. Hold on.
So Lee and Benaya, is this all new to you? Is this all new stuff to you?
Yeah, I've never heard of anything of the like. I haven't.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I admit this is something I'm just discovering too.
So this is another picture of the baby incubators exhibit. You know, it seems strange why people want to see, you know, these babies in incubators. You know, don't know. That's another one of that one.
But here's the thing, though, Dave. As far as the first test tube baby, etc., and all the intravenous type of insemination, artificial insemination that they've been doing, for the most part, their population has always had a problem as far as reproducing.
Yep.
So this is not far-fetched.
No. And from what Delvin was saying, right, you can see in this picture, this was in 1900. This amazing building in the background here, and now it's been taken away. They've destroyed it, right? And this is the same all over the earth. This amazing architecture that we can't build successfully today, you know, just got destroyed and removed. I think I've got another picture. Oh, here's one where there's half the building is underground, where you've got glass windows and stuff, yeah, and half of it is underground, yeah. A cathedral we cannot build today, there's no way that any any ancestor of ours built that. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's incubators. Another picture of I think, nurses attending these incubators. Yeah, that's the one I started with. Yeah, I think I go to the Orphan Trains. I think that's it really. So they're the ones I was showing you. So again, I don't want to sort of I don't want to hog that. That was just an aside that I was looking at.
It's interesting.
I think something to think about with what you've just presented, Dave. If they're willing to do those types of things to increase and maintain their numbers, what are they willing to do to diminish ours?
I think the point is they can't diminish ours. I was saying and I was giving a talk about this the other day, and I basically remembered I think it was in Exodus. The more Pharaoh tried to kill us, the more we multiplied.
Yeah. Now, granted, our people are pretty fertile as far as the Most High did say that we be as the stars of the heavens as far as multiplication goes. That he would multiply the nation, but it won't multiply our joy. So I understand as far as our ability to reproduce, but I'm speaking of if they're willing to do these things to maintain their numbers. Therefore, it's easy for us to kind of see them doing things to harm us. They may not be able to eradicate us altogether,
Well,
but
if
if
you
they're
must
willing to go to those measures, we can
Right.
only begin to imagine what they have done and
In
what they are doing that's harming us as a collective.
I'll interject right now. I remember the streets of New York, America, when the crack problem happened, the drug problem happened. That was all instigated by the controllers. They wanted to do that to help depopulate the Israelites in America by giving them drugs and giving them guns, and they just kill themselves. You know, that's basically what they tried to do. That's why they had suburbs and ghettos for us and had the least amount of amenities to help us, but it still didn't work because we were still multiplying, and it's still happening today. They have no real weapons against us as such. The weapons they have can only harm themselves. And that's why their population, they shoot up and they disappear. That's why they age the way they age. And we age differently to them. Remember, as Dave says, black don't crack. Look at the age, the black people who are aged. They don't look the same as Caucasian people. You know, when you go deep into this is a serious thing. This is the serious stuff what's happening right now. I mean, in the care homes, you know, there's a what's the word? A high number of people coming in and going out of care homes, and the black populated care homes, they have the fastest turnover. And it isn't because they die quicker outside, they die quicker inside these care homes, because they're basically systematically, I feel, gotten rid of. That's what happened to my mother anyway, so I know that for a fact. But that's what they're doing to get rid of us. But it isn't working as such because, well, we know why, you know, and but they're not going to stop, and they won't win either. But they're doing their best to bring forth the New Testament as fast as they can.
It's like when they did the HIV in Africa. Then you get the mothers who had HIV having babies, and the babies coming out no HIV or anything.
The eugenics program has been going on for years and years and years. Okay, Bill Gates' parents were advocates of eugenics, and it was basically aimed at the African population and also the blacks in America as well. And it's still happening today with their different jibber jabs, if you know what I'm saying, and other means as well. The water, chemtrails, you name it. It goes on and on and on. Kwame, what's up?
Yeah, good to see everyone. I interesting the whole Tartaria thing. Yeah, I kind of was looking at it some time ago, but yeah, it's good to know, but not to lose the distraction of what's not to be distracted on the point of our own deliverance and how we get to where we need to be. Really, I think that we've got to find our way back to where we need to be. And yeah.
Well, I feel this is part of us finding our way. The more we know about where we're living right now and the basic infrastructure of what they're trying to do, the better position we're going to be in. That's what I think anyway. I mean, I touched on this when I was in Turkey, and it is on point, and it is very, very relevant because our knowledge of this should be up to speed. And right now, a lot of Israelite brothers I know have no idea about what Dave's talking about. They haven't got a clue.
I know, I do. I'm fully aware of what Dave has mentioned there, and about the orphan children, the incubators, the world fairs, and when the buildings were there, they had the world fairs and amazing buildings, and these buildings were taken down. I'm very aware of that. But my point is, as Israelites, we've got redemption. When we're talking about how we're going to move forward, we can only do that in these discussions. That's what I'm saying. It's great to know about Tartarium, and we've put it out there now so the masses can go and do their research. But as we are here as Israelites, we're finding our way back. And I think that's how we're doing it as a collective right now. And I think salvation is something which is really important. How are we going to be saved? What are we expected to do to be saved? What does it look like? What does the actual coming of the Messiah look like for us? These are the things which I think for myself, that's kind of, they're the things I think we've got to focus on. And how do we get there? How do we know we're getting there? How do we know we're getting closer? What's the pathway? And I think people are looking at us for those things. Yes, Tartaria and these things are great to know because they're things which have happened, and the controllers will keep changing all the time anyway. They change tact all the time. We've gone from COVID, now we're in a war. Next week, again, it will be back to climate change. It will be this, it will be that. It's going to keep changing anyway. But we've got to know where we're going for our redemption and our salvation, etc. So that's just my point. I'm not saying, I haven't said it's not relevant about it, but it's out there now. We've put it out there. But salvation, I think, is what our people need to know. How are we saved? What is the vengeance? What is vengeance? What is it? What does it look like?
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Go ahead. Dave, you've got the floor. Dave's got something to say.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Dave, I am really, the truth is, it's just that those things I think are so relevant to where the people are now. The people have got an idea of what vengeance is. They've got an idea of what salvation is, just ideas. But when we're discussing it, I think it's for, yeah. So do you see where I'm coming from? It's for those.
I see where you're coming from, but I don't think you're going to get the answers here, because this is a bit of a shock to me, because okay, the salvation is very, very, very well spelled out in the Old Testament. There's only one sort of salvation. It's got nothing to do with that Greco-Roman book, right? When you speak to Christians about salvation, what is it, right? You speak to 10 Christians, you'll get 10 different answers, right? Because that is a book of confusion, and it's got no relevance to reality, right? The only salvation is the Most High saving his people out of 400 years of slavery. That's it. That's what the book says, right? And that's what the Most High says he's going to do at the end of time, right? The end days.
And each day we've got to do our best to repent on what we've got to repent on, and do our best to uphold what he wants us to do. It's not easy in this place where we're living now, and it's all over the shop. But as Kwame said, it's good that we have these talks to talk about these things. But it's just trying our best to stay on the straight and narrow in the madness we're living in, basically. That's what I think anyway.
Well, I guess we can start off with that aspect of it all. We can start off with the salvation aspect. And Brother Benaiah, you can take the floor on that as far as the salvation. That way our people pretty much know exactly what that looks like. what's required of them. And then, everyone else can kind of chime in after that. That way our people are clear exactly as they're right now. Most of our people are A, confused, B, afraid, have been led down the wrong path, maybe trying to find their way back. Some are already there. So some may need the information that they may know which way that they should walk. And there are those who are on the path that the words of the Creator will strengthen them, that they may be anchored in this path or in this walk. So, Brother Benai, you can go ahead and take the floor on the salvation part.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Y'all bless.
Peace and God bless.
And that's what it is about. Salvation only comes through the Most High. I say Yah of hosts is the Most High. He is salvation. How is it accomplished? How is it attained? Well, it's attained through his law. It's through living a righteous life. We read in it's Deuteronomy, but our righteousness, if we observe all the law that Yah has given us to observe. If we're careful to observe his law and don't step out of bounds, okay, then salvation can be brought to you. Listen, you're only going to get it through reading his book of the law, through praying to him. You got to humble yourself. Okay, you have to humble yourself. I know it's hard for some people, but you have to come to recognize that he is the creator, that we are his creation. And if you can't bow down and humble yourself to the one who created you and who keeps your heart pumping in your chest, then I don't know what to say for you. You're a lost situation. You're a lost soul. You have to humble yourself. You have to obey his commandments, and you have to live a life that is upright, meaning that you have to do his law. That's it. It's simple. It's really simple. It's not complicated. You follow Yah's law. You obey his voice. You humble yourself to him, call out to him, and he will give you peace. He'll start showing you that you can get salvation almost immediately, because he will bless you with peace. You have peace in your life. You might go through a few little things, but you're going to find out life is a lot easier than when it was when you weren't being obedient. So salvation comes through obedience to Yah's law and humbling yourself and doing what his law requires. That's it. There's no secret sauce. There's nothing hidden behind the scenes. It's made plain to us. You read what I call what's known as the book of remembrance. That's from Genesis to Malachi. You follow that law and you humble yourself before Yah. You call out to him, and salvation should be granted to you, because Yah is most merciful. He's abounding in mercy and love, compassion.
What does Kwame have going on back there? Is he wrestling with his phone?
His phone's beating him up. But that's salvation in a nutshell. And it only comes, like Dave said, it only comes through the Most High. If you have any deity, you put anything before Yah, meaning if you have anything in between yourself and Yah, you're going to go off the path. You're not going to get it right. I don't care if it's yourself. You don't put anything before him. Your mother, your father, your children, your brother. Well, you don't understand. My auntie, you got to forget auntie. Okay. You have to do what Yah says, and you have to avoid anyone who try to get you off that path. Anyone tries to get you off that path, don't follow after him, because Yah is testing you to see whether you will be obedient or not. He will give you tests. He'll give you a chance to show your salt, to put your money where your mouth is. You say you obey him, good, we're going to see, because he's going to put you through the ringer. But you learn to rely on him, trust in him, and he will lead you to the path towards righteousness.
Ben, I was going to ask you, when people are humbling themselves and start praying, some people are praying in different ways, and some people don't know how to actually pray.
Okay, I tell you, you know, what you do is this is in the book of remembrance. It is Solomon's supplication when the temple was dedicated. You know, you can read Solomon, I think it's in Chronicles, I think it's chapter 7 or 8, but it's in the book of Kings
And Chronicles.
and Chronicles. Let me see,
Yeah.
I got it written down somewhere. And you
Or
humble
you-
yourself before Yah. What you can do is prostrate yourself to Yah and humble yourself. Also, you could, with your hands towards the sky, in an open position, facing, now it depends on where you are, but you have to face Jerusalem, where the temple is, or where it was. It's going to be rebuilt. Okay, it has to be rebuilt. But where the temple was, so you have to find out where Jerusalem is on your map. And what I do, I usually follow the flat earth map. I don't follow the globe situation. The flat earth map, find out where Jerusalem is, and depends on, because I know some of you guys are in England. And depending on where you are, you have to face that direction, the direction of the temple. Humble yourself before Yah, get down on your knees with your arms outstretched, and you confess your allegiance to Yah. You acknowledge your guilt, acknowledge what you've done, acknowledge what our ancestors have done while we're in this situation, and you call out to Yah for help and guidance, and he will hear you. He will hear you. See, he says, if you seek him with all your heart, he says, you will find me. It's not maybe, or you probably, or depends on what day it is, depends on how I'm feeling or whatnot. He says it's guaranteed. If we seek him with all your heart. Now that's something I can't change. I can't dictate how your heart is or how serious you are. Only you can dictate that. You can change that. You can control that. But if you do it with everything you have and you're sincere, Yah will hear you, and he will start to unfold his truths to you in that book of remembrance. That's the key. We've had the book the whole time. Isn't that funny? It's been under our nose all this time, and all kind of aspersions have been cast upon the book, and those who read it as, oh, that was yesterday, that stuff, that's a long time ago. Oh, how do we know that's their book? You know, they gave that to you. Listen, I'm telling you, you read that book, you're going to start seeing things clearly. You know, why we're in this situation, who we are, and what we have to do to get out of this situation, because the answers are right there.
Totally.
I hope I explained that clearly. I don't know if anyone would have any questions after that, but that's it.
No, you summed it up pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked that you know, we're talking about the JC character again.
Well, yeah, well, we know there's no such thing as no Messiah coming back to save anyone. For anyone who understands clearly the book of remembrance, Messiah simply means, that word pretty much means anointed. And every priest, sons of Aaron, they were all anointed men. Saul was an anointed man. All the sons of David that were the kings, incorrectly called kings, who were the governors of Judah, these are all anointed men. They all had the anointed oil poured upon them by the priest. So there's no such thing as no one anointed person or no one anointed man. All the kings of Judah were anointed men, and all the sons of Aaron, Levi the priest, the priestly house, the priestly tribe, all the sons of Aaron were anointed men. So you've had a bunch of anointed men coming out of the two leadership houses of the house of Israel, the tribe of Yehudah, David's tribe, and the tribe of Levi, the tribe of which Aaron and Moses are from. So there is no such thing, and it's to be reiterated to the children of Israel, there is no such thing as some Messiah coming back to save you. Okay, we were taught this, that way we would continue to reach out to our enemies, that we may seek towards them for everything. And so we have the same person punching us in the face, and we expect that same person to heal us and help us. And it doesn't quite work that way. When it comes to our deliverance, as Brother Benaiah has clearly stated, our deliverance is going to be, you will have to deliver yourself. And that's as simple as it is. And that means this: the Most High said, if when we're in these lands and these punishments are being doled out towards us, we have to consider our ways and our doings. Okay, and once we do these things and we seek him, which means no one gave the Most High to us, we would have been to a point to where we would have seen so much suffering, so much struggling in our current life and in our past generations, to where we would begin to wonder why these things are, and we'll try to seek for answers. And as we seek and call upon him, then and only then does he reveal himself to us by way of his law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. And then we have to walk lockstep in it in order to be delivered, i.e. find some peace in the midst of these nations. So no one was going to take the Most High and give him to anyone. We were going to have to seek him as individuals with our whole heart and with our whole soul. And once we figured out, okay, it's amazing, because I was having a conversation with a man of the nations, a European man, today, and we have a mutual respect for each other, and we were discussing the wickedness that we're seeing, and he's saying, no, this is just pure evil. And so I asked him a question, because he's one that actually, he is a Christian, and he believes that there is no law and that the Roman idol died for him. So my question to him, when he stated that, man, what I'm seeing is just pure evil, I said, okay, I'm happy that you said that. Now, what allows you to differentiate what's evil and what is not? And you know what he said? God's law. And I said, of course it is. That is the standard. And at no time has anyone ever died for you. The law is everlasting, it endureth forever. So is the Most High, for the law is truth, and it is righteousness. To take away the law, you have taken away both truth, you have taken away righteousness, you have removed the Most High. And it's really that simple. So as I continue to converse with him, because we've been having these conversations for years, he's beginning to understand. And with the current crisis, i.e. economical hardship, potential wars, etc., many of the people that were stiff-necked and stubborn to hearing this, they're beginning to be much more receptive. And I do believe that more of the heathen, as well as the children of Israel, are now seeking after this information.
Right. I just want to say one little thing about the anointed part. Now, it actually highlights some of the translation shenanigans that these Christians have done with the word, because as Brother Lee has said, that the word Mashiach means anointed, but whenever the narrative suited the JC figure, they translated that word as Messiah or Christ or some such word. But when it didn't suit the narrative, they just translated it as anointed. So I think it was Isaiah 45:1, where King Cyrus of Persia is described as the Most High's anointed. So the Most High's Mashiach, which would have presented a problem to the Christians if they translated that as Messiah. So they had to translate that as anointed. But then when it was used in Daniel, well, they could find a good reason to make it fit their JC character. So they translated that as Messiah. So that's the only reason. I mean, there is no such thing as, there's never in the Old Testament such a thing as HaMashiach, the Messiah. Right. No such thing. That was invented later. So no, yeah. Well, I'll leave it there. Oh,
Good
one
point.
more thing, just to talk about. Lee was saying that that the you know, the heathen, the others are now waking up to the fact of what's going on and who we are as well. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to play a little video that I came across. You might have already seen this, but I just want to play it just to make this point. Perhaps you tell me if you see it.
I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
I've
Oh,
seen
hang
it.
on. No, I think I've got a. Sorry, I've got a. When I do this screen share thing, I've got to optimize it, share sound, and optimize for video.
Look at their faces when he's mentioning what he's mentioning.
Yes. No, sorry, I might have to stop the share. Hang on, sorry.
Okay.
I have to do this properly. I can't optimize for videos. Hopefully it will play. Okay, so, all right, can you see it, or do I need to?
I can see it.
Screen. Do I make it full screen, or can you see it full screen?
I can see it full screen on my screen.
Righty ho. Okay, here we go.
Say something right quick. I think back on the African American people in America. I think how that they were taken against their wills, put in the belly of ships, brought over here, beat, cussed. Many of them died in the guts of those ships, thrown overboard. They were pulled from families over there. You ain't never heard a gut-wrenching song. You hear a black person sing one of those old black Negro spirituals. Nobody knows. I can't sing it like that, see, because I hadn't experienced what they be. When you've experienced hell, it comes out of the voice. I said, when you experience hell, it comes out of the voice. If you're one of those people that you got problem with black people or whatever, you better shut your mouth, because they're God's people. You better hear what I'm saying to you. You better shut your mouth. You better shut your white mouth. You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you. I know some of you was raised in the deep South and you was raised by prejudiced people and bigoted people. You better get that out of your system. You better get it out of your system. It'll cause you to suffer right along with those masters. It'll cause you to suffer right along with them. These are God's people. And I know that there's wicked in white races and wicked in black races and all that. I'm not justifying none of that stuff. I'm just saying God knows what happened to the black race. He knows how they wound up over here, and God is going to reimburse the black people for all their trouble and all their labor. You watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you.
So, how does that happen? If not waking up to the truth of what's going on.
And, I'm certain there's a few others out there that's doing the same thing. That are Europeans that's actually bringing this information to light. And this is my experience, I've had some talks with some Europeans pertaining to this subject matter. And when you present this information to them, indicating that the Most High is one, showing them where to go look, and to clearly identify who the children of Israel are, and to look at what was done to the quote unquote, the Israelite, the quote unquote black man throughout the earth who's been scattered, has his name removed, et cetera, et cetera. Once they see that there's any validity to that, you can almost see the fear overcome them. And just absolute silence, because it cannot be denied once you present this information. There's a gentleman that I knew that was a big Christian. He's supposed to be a pastor and all of these things. One of the most miserable guys you'd want to be around. All right. But one day he was telling me something about JC and all this other stuff, right? And that he's a Christian. And I asked him directly, I said, a Christian, are you the same person that murdered, slaughtered, and sold my people all over the earth? Is that you? And you should have seen the look on his face, right? Because they don't expect you. I've noticed with a lot of them, They will come to you with a JC all day long. But the minute they realize that you understand that book, they don't want nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, they're going to try to force feed that down your throat. I've told him, I said, what you believing is a lie. I told him that straight up. I said, now, I want you to go and read this scripture right here and then come back and tell me what it says. And that man has never spoken to me about his God and his religion ever after that.
Well, Henry came to one of my talks. He came, was it the Book of Remembrance talk you came to, Henry? I think it was.
Yeah, long time
Well,
ago.
yeah. Oh, and actually Kwame came as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Kwame.
Yes. So I gave a talk about our book to a mostly white audience, right? And part of it basically said about the Nephilim, what they looked like, and what the traits were sort of you know, they introduced into humanity. And literally when I gave the talk in other venues where there was only like, there was one black woman in the audience, she said when I started talking about that white skin is not natural to this earth, she was looking for the exit. But literally I was saying, I was laying it out as I saw it in the book. And afterwards I was talking to some of them, and they were saying, yeah, I've always known that that there was something wrong with you know, with having this skin, because it's the only thing on earth that gets harmed by the sun, you know. So there's something wrong with it, you know. We must have all been this color at one point, but something's wrong with having these genetics. So yes, the realization is coming on, you know. I think it's, you know, it's coming on exponentially now. People are starting to realize that there's something wrong. But at the same time, we cannot look at somebody and know who they are. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are us mixed out, I believe, you know, because, you know, you know, this is my view, that, you know, your lineage comes through the father. And if your lineage goes back to an Israelite, then you're still an Israelite, even if you're mixed out. You might be.
Dave, at that point, I understand that point clearly. But here's something I would like you guys to consider, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, it comes through the Y chromosome of the male. And there's many like of that show that you showed that was done in the BBC, where you saw that what is clearly a white man explained that, okay, my father's name is such and such and such and such, and it leads back to this so quote unquote Israelite, right? Or more than likely an Israelite. My thing is this: we've just seen here in Ukraine where some Africans, black people, probably those of the House of Israel, that were actually turned back from trying to seek safety and shelter in neighboring nations. Here's my viewpoint of that. That man, I forgot his name that was on that show, that he was a European man who apparently his great-great-grandfather may have been an Israelite. I guarantee you that whole man's life, he was seen and treated as any European that was around him. And he did not face the hardships that we endure daily. And he's never been in fear of his life when the police pull him over, or any of the other things that we have had to endure. So some people may want to say, well, this is not about skin color and this is not about race. But I'll tell you what, if those that got turned back in Ukraine had painted their skin white somehow and disguised themselves to be Europeans, what they endured would have never happened to them. So to me, this is just me speaking, what identifies us for the most part are those curses and this complexion. It's a combination of the two.
Sure, but I also have to say that, I haven't suffered, the hardship of slavery and affliction, really. I mean, yeah, I've been discriminated against and stuff, but we're in the end of that. So, none of us have experienced what our great grandfathers experienced. Yeah, none of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the thing. It's, there's one thing, okay, you can whip a man and beat him. Okay, I've not been whipped by anyone in that sense. But all my life, I'm looking at mothers crying and children dying, and men. That's a psychological burden to carry every day.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You're seeing these things. You're seeing your people being taken advantage of. You're seeing no justice being given to them. You're seeing them in this low state. That is in some cases, that's worse than just taking a beating. When you're seeing people getting killed, and you know that this can possibly be you. This
Mm-hmm.
can be your son. This can be your grandson. And there's no power in your hand to hit back at those who are doing it. That's no different than being in slavery. Instead of in slavery, two things were happening. You were being harmed physically, you were being harmed psychologically.
Yeah.
We're experiencing those same things right now in all the many nations in which we dwell. We may have a little bit more rope by which to maneuver, but that rope has a length to it. You kind of see what I'm saying? So certainly
Sure.
none of us can say, hey man, I've been beaten and they've chopped my foot off or something like that. But I guarantee you there's many of our brothers who've been incarcerated unjustly. Some of them have done wrong, but the wrong that they may have done may have called for 5 years, but they got 10.
Right.
And I guarantee you, I would hate to begin to imagine I can see what they're doing to us in the free open prison that we're in called the nations.
Mm-hmm.
I can't begin to fathom what they're doing in the jailhouses where there are no cameras to our young brothers and our elderly fathers and uncles. I can't begin to imagine what they're doing to them there.
Mm.
So we're still taking these beatings. We're still getting killed and murdered. It's just, okay, now we're in open air. We can go home at night. It's just different, but the same.
Yeah, I get that. The other thing I'd say is that, okay, in England, and it's not so bad for them now, but in England, the Irish, who used to be us, okay, we were the Irish, the original Irish. Now they were mixing out the women, the black women who remained in Ireland, right, to produce another, the mulattoes. But the stigma, remember, one drop of Negro blood makes you a Negro. Yeah. It still remained no matter what color they were. So an Irishman over in England was treated almost like a black guy. So such that when my parents came over, they saw the signs, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. And my dad, who was Bayesian, well, because he sounded so much like an Irishman, and he was a bit more light skinned than I am, they took him as an Irishman. And so he was experiencing the same kind of, I suppose it's the same kind of prejudice as an Irishman was experiencing. I know it's different in America because I believe the Irish became part of the white race in 1940, I believe, and they were used to kind of because they were still treated as almost black by the upper class, but they were used like attack dogs. Because they were given a bit more status than regular black people.
Yeah, they were used as a buffer class.
Yeah, exactly. That was the word I was looking for. Buffer. Yeah. But yes, so so I get what you're saying, but I still think there's I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't look. I'm not going to deny the fact that okay, if your great grandfather's Israel, okay, you are Israel. Not, you know, I can go with that. But once again,
Do you think that may be the stranger that comes with us?
yeah, well, yeah, he may be because I mean, when we narrow it down, we were instructed to get rid of the wives and the children that we had actually intermingled with other peoples. So it could possibly be that. But I know good and well that the hardship, if you're white or you look white, no one thinks or goes back to say, you know what? Well, your great grandfather was a black man or an Israelite, so therefore we're going to treat you such and such. You're dealt with based on what they see. And people may say, well, it's not about color. Well, show me where in America or any other nation where, you know, white people imposed or got their will imposed upon them to where they're speaking an African language and have African names.
Well, it's just it's just in this country. It's there's also the class issue as well. I mean, you don't have that so much in America, but you know, there's a class structure here as well. And you know, you've got like the upper class, and you know, it doesn't matter what color you are, you're pond scum to them, because essentially, just like that Harry Potter film, yeah, you've got the blonde hair, blue eyed elite class of wizards, you know, the Malfoys, and they call everybody else mudbloods, yeah, dirty blood. So you know, that upper class, you know, think everybody, because they're not pure bloods, you know, are in the same category. Obviously they don't experience the same level of discrimination, but they still face the same thing. I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying that I think it's slightly different over here.
Well, the good thing about all of this is that it will be made plain to us.
Yeah.
And as we see things beginning to condense a little bit and tighten up, I think the narrower the path becomes, the clearer the vision ahead will be. You know, so I mean, I figure we may have our differences. I'm speaking not us here on the panel. I'm saying the global Israelite family. But as the path gets narrower, which means less people are on it. You understand? As it gets narrower, I think the vision and the understanding of exactly how things are supposed to be will be made even much more clear to those who are steadfast enough to stay the course.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that being said, I do have to eat now. I'm afraid I have to eat. I've been teaching, and I'm so hungry. So, brothers, so great to see you all. Henry, I will call you tomorrow. Dave, I will call you as well because I need some dates from you for a common law course in Coventry. Okay. Listen, the talk has been fantastic. Thank you all so much.
Peace and y'all bless, brother.
Okay.
Peace and y'all bless. Peace and y'all bless.
Yeah. I heard you gentlemen, and I have to I mean, you know, you both make points. I mean, don't get me wrong, because I've never been under anybody's whip. I've never been shackled, and I've never been made to do harsh work. No one has ever come to my wife, said, hey boy, bring me your wife, and you know, you go in the other room, don't worry about what's going to happen in this room. Yeah, no, I never went through any of that. But it's just like Brother Malachi said, seeing your people be subjected to brutality, they don't receive any consideration whatsoever in the court system, which is supposed to be a justice system, but it turns out it's just us. hey man, that is psychologically damaging. You know, you feel anger boil up in you. You want to do something, but you're powerless to do anything about it. That's a torture. That's psychological warfare, you know, and psychological warfare and psychological oppression has never ceased on us and our people. So, you know, I think the curses are quite evident on who the people is. We look at this situation, like Brother Malachi brought up in Ukraine. You know, we find out even in the throes of a life or death situation, people feeling like the Russians are encroaching upon them. Even in war, some Europeans find time to be racist. You know, it's just who, don't ask me to explain it. I can't explain it. I just think it's a moral flaw in some people, and they display it. And no matter what their situation is, they view it as, hey, at least I ain't one of them. You know, I've seen people here in the United States through video, because everybody's got the cell phone cameras. I once saw a European guy being accosted by police, and what is he saying? Hey, you'll treat me like I'm black. You know, so I mean, what more evidence do we need? You know,
Yeah. They're aware of it.
We have a white woman who killed a young male, black male, and she was found guilty. In her sentence, the judge felt that we need to put ourselves in her shoes, in the perpetrator's shoes, and gave her a sentence of less than 2 years for a murder, for killing someone. You know, whereas you get a drug charge, you get charged with 25 years. You know, our people. I mean, what's going on? I mean, if that doesn't tell you the level of unfairness and inequity.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think anyone's questioning that. I mean, the whole of society has been built around that. Yeah. So I'm surprised when any of us are surprised by any of this.
Yeah.
Right. You know, exactly.
Right. So the other thing, and I think it's now gone straight out of my head. Oh, I hate when I had it right planned. It's gone out of my head. Okay, somebody else talk while I try and figure out what I was going to say.
Well, I mean, maybe I could jog your memory. I'll bring it back to my initial conversation. You know, when you look at what's going on. Oh, there you go. Go ahead. While it's fresh in your mind.
What it was, don't you think? I think I'll call you Lee, but Malachi. Yeah, sorry. I think you said once that that those who we are seeing, being brutalized and being treated badly, they're the ones, and I believe this as well, they're the ones who, while they're not breaking the laws of man, they're not standing up to the laws of the Most High. And so exactly. They're the ones who are, so, you know, yes, I can feel for them, but
yeah,
at the same time, you know, I truly believe if you're living a righteous life, you still, even in captivity, even in punishment and affliction, right, you'll still sail through a lot easier, you know. And I kind of explain it like, if you've got if a father's got 2 children and they both are really bad, okay, and they get sent to their rooms, right? If one child is trashing their room in anger, right, and the other one is remorseful in their room, well, one of them's going to get treated well, and the other one's not going to get treated very well at all. Yeah, because they haven't repented, they haven't, they're not following the rules anymore. They're just acting out. So they're going to get further punishment.
Well, it's like I said earlier, Dave, to echo what you just said. when we talked about salvation, certainly when you obey the voice of the Most High and follow his laws, and you're diligent to do so, faithful in doing so, you will understand what salvation is about, because you will be given peace in your life. You won't have all those problems that you may have once had when you weren't obeying his laws. So you have that peace. And that's like a sneak preview to your salvation. We could say, so certainly the effects is almost immediate. You come out of the punishment, not totally, because we're still here in captivity, but until Yah comes to bring forth this salvation and make it known to everyone, there will be a level of peace that you will endure. You start seeing the effects, the difference for between those who are serving Yah and those who aren't. That'll be almost immediate. You might have to go through a little something depending on what you're repenting from. I mean, you may have caused some problems that might come back to kind of haunt you, so there's going to be a few problems, but you can best believe that it won't be as intense as if you never came to Yah at all. Certainly he'll give you some relief. But yeah, it's a heck of a thing what our people are going through. I'm telling you, I wasn't surprised, I wasn't shocked, but I just kind of shook my head like, man, I'll tell you, with that situation in Russia, what's happening to our people in the Ukraine being denied, that's
But is anyone else being denied though? That's the point. We're only seeing one part of the story. So, is anyone being allowed to get out of the country?
Well, now I don't know, but I know what was obvious, what was shown, and what was obvious from my viewpoint is how there were, I'm not going to say Israelites, I'm not sure, maybe they were Israel.
They might been, may not have been. I don't know.
But they were denied, and I know they were putting white people on board, Ukrainians, whites. I know the sentiments of what the reporters were saying, hey man, this isn't some third world country, this is Europeans, this is happening. I feel bad. These blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white people, these Europeans are being treated so harshly. I mean, this isn't. And I didn't mention, my wife is on Twitter, and she had told me before we saw any of that, like on the first day that Putin decided he made his move to move in, there were Europeans on Twitter saying, hey, why is he doing that to Ukrainians? If he wanted resources, he could just go to Africa. I mean, okay, so just crap on Africa, you know what I mean? That's what they're for. Just take their stuff, that's all right, ain't no problem. But to do it to Europeans, I once saw a video. After there was those floods a few years ago, all that flood in Europe that messed up Germany and other parts of Europe. They had some serious floods, and there was one young white woman who had said, hey man, this ain't some third world country. This doesn't happen to us. I mean, this is what I'm saying, the attitude,
Pride and arrogance.
It's right, the entitlement that they must feel for all these years of being in a society that promotes them and puts them on top, and puts us on the bottom. They come to expect it. If it happens to us, oh well, that's them. Oh my, wait, that's my child. Hold on. You know what I mean? Come on, man.
Again, I'm surprised that people are surprised by that.
Yeah.
because when you realize the whole of society has been built around that sentiment, because it's all been about keeping not only keeping the Israelites down, but keeping them unaware of who they are completely, and unaware of any potential they have.
Right.
That's woven into the whole of Western society. So
exactly.
When people go, why did this happen? It's like, what? Don't you know?
Exactly.
You know, I'll say this. You know, we're clear that the law grants you peace. The law is the sanctuary that the Most High has extended to the children of Israel in these tough times. He made it plain that he would not abandon us totally. And he was right in that. He left us that law that we may have a hiding place in the midst of these nations in times of trouble, and that we may find peace here. Now, as it pertains to the Ukraine, every one of our people is or are quick to call these Europeans racist. And this is my view, that no one in the book of remembrance has ever been charged with a case of racism. What the correct charge is unrighteousness. That's what, and so when we deal with our enemies, we're not charging you for being a racist. We can't find that in the book of remembrance. But we can see clearly where the Most High has charged you and charged those who have walked contrary to his law, who have been unjust, who has been wicked. He has charged them with unrighteousness, and that carries a penalty. So you call a man racist, he's not bothered about that. But when you look in his face and tell him you are unrighteous and you walk contrary to the Most High's law, statute, judgments, precepts, you will get a response out of him that you have not gotten before. Because now he's going to start thinking. So therefore, what we're seeing isn't racism, it's nothing but unrighteousness, wicked and ungodly behavior. And for them to know what righteousness is, they would have to know the Most High's law. But as I teach on my channel, a father teaches his son. You cannot expect righteousness out of a man who don't know what it is. And so many of our people are normally shocked and flabbergasted when they see us being treated in an unrighteous manner, never ever concerning to themselves. These people have never shown us any righteousness in times past. So therefore, they don't know what it is, and we cannot get something from a people that they do not possess. And I think that's very important that we keep that in mind as we discuss the unrighteousness that we do see. The Most High made it plain to us that we will be enduring these things and that we will be seeing these things. And it's good that we're seeing it. And that may sound a bit controversial, that it's good that we're seeing all of these hardships, because those of us who become tired of seeing it and find out that we're powerless against it, those are the ones of us that seek after the Most High. Because we have to find a higher power, the God and the idols and whatever else our enemies have given us. We have turned to these things and we're still in a powerless state. So therefore, as we begin to be saddened by all the things that we see, then we start to really seek the Most High. So the fact that we're seeing these things, I personally feel, is what leads us to seeking the Most High, because of the pain and the suffering that we're seeing, and realizing we're powerless to stop this. Mom and dad in the church, grandfather, he the pastor, and they've endured all that I'm seeing and more. So that hasn't helped them. So I have to seek something else. And I think because of that, we are led to the Most High by way of our heart. That's just my viewpoint.
Yeah, I say racism to speak of a specific form of unrighteousness. Now, I know that we use that term here in the modern era, and of course, that's not written in the book of remembrance. I agree, but it is a specific form of evil, of wickedness, of unrighteousness. There's no question about that. It's wicked. But that you make a good point, Brother Malachi. What would be their response if you were to charge them with wickedness rather than racist? You're a wicked person.
That'll cut you to the bone.
Yeah, you're unrighteous. Of course, I mean, personally, my opinion on that would be that they would immediately jump to that New Testament, which is what they promote, because that's what they're familiar with if they're Christian, and they're gonna say, well, you can't cast stones at me, and all this. You're a sinner too, so you're unrighteous too. Wherever everybody's unrighteous, they'll go with that spiel. But that would be interesting to see what would be their response if you were to, yeah. Now, I tell you now, I mean, because I have been following Yah very closely, following his laws, commandments, statutes, and judgments, my wife and I, we don't experience being looked at crazy or anything. I mean, we just don't experience that. So I'm not sure that I would experience that here. I have in the past before I started following the law, but we haven't done that since we've really hunkered down and committed ourselves. That has not been our experience, but that would be interesting to see what the response.
I think if I called somebody wicked over here, they'd say, "Thank you very much."
Just doing my job, huh?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. That's something that we have to be aware of, is that you said it well when you said that, Brother Benaiah. The Most High has created that wicked man to do what he has to do. We all have a job.
That's right.
Whether you evil or righteous, you're serving the Most High.
Right.
He creates the destroyer, does he not?
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
So therefore, you can say you don't care about God or whatever, and you could be the foulest dude out there. You're serving the Most High. Don't care how you twist it.
That's right.
Now, the thing is, as we have discussed salvation, we know good and well we're to face Jerusalem, find out where that is from our house, get on our knee, lift our hands in prayer, and make our supplication for all the errors that we have done, and as Brother Benaiah has stated, for the previous generations before us. And we're to do these things no more. Going forward, we're to drop the idols, we're to drop the holidays, and we're to keep holy days. So these are the things we must do for our salvation. Now we have to understand that that salvation is going to lead to our deliverance. But there's not going to be any type of deliverance, as we have seen in times past, for the children of Israel to be delivered. Someone is getting destroyed, and a bunch of them, including some Israelites. So therefore, a lot of our people may want to have their cake and eat it too. Meaning, yeah, I would like to be delivered from this circumstance, but I don't want to see my uncle get killed. I don't want to see my granddad get killed. I don't want to see my mom and dad get killed because they don't walk in the law. So some of us may, I don't want to be delivered, but I don't want to see this whole nation of people get slaughtered. And that's what it's going to be. There's not going to be any deliverance without absolute destruction. We've seen this in the past when we were delivered from the hands of our enemies. The Most High killed on our behalf. And so therefore we have to be able to stomach that, because that's what it's going to take. There's no other way to humble those who have done what they have done to us. It's going to take a much more powerful force to do it. And to have that deliverance, it's going to be a killing on a scale we can't begin to imagine.
And I think it's already happened. I think there are many people, including a lot of our people, who are at this moment walking dead. They've already taken the jab, because they didn't trust in the Most High, they trusted in man, and their pharmakia, which doesn't take a lot to just look up and find out what it is. So they've taken it, and it's just a matter of time for them now. So yeah, I think it's already happened. We're just waiting for it to for the penny to drop.
It certainly has already happened, and what you said is true. Look, in turning to Yah, in reading this book of remembrance, in studying it and becoming very familiar with it, you're going to find out a lot of things. That you can't save anyone. You can only save yourself. You can only be responsible for yourself. People are going to have choices to make. Someone very, very close to you isn't going to make the right choice, and they're going to have to be left to their fate, because it becomes personal. Once you get that personal relationship with the creator of heaven and earth, you're going to find out, and the closer you draw to him, you're going to find out, hey, if my aunt don't want to do right and I'm doing righteousness, and I've spoken to my aunt about it, for example, and she knows what it is, and she still doesn't want to let this idol go, hey, so be it. You know, you're not gonna even care. You're gonna almost be eager for her. You know, I say that, you know, but I'm just being real. You're gonna be almost eager for her to get her wake-up call, to get her recompense. Now, you would hope that Yah would deal with them not in his hot displeasure, in his anger. But hey, I feel like this. I'm at the point, you know, I was telling this to my son today. He was over for a visit. It gets to the point where if you don't want to follow Yah, so be it. So be it with you. I don't care. I'm not going to cry for you. I don't feel bad for you, because you have made yourself an enemy to the Most High. That's offensive to me. If someone decides to make himself or herself an enemy with the creator of heaven and earth, man, you can go you get what you get, you deserve it. And I feel that way. And I'm almost at the point where there will be no tears cried from my eyes for someone who's wicked, who's chosen the path of unrighteousness. I don't have anything for you. I'm serious. I don't. I'm really becoming hardcore with that. Some people may say, well, that's cruel. Don't you have any compassion? Yeah, I have compassion for righteous people. You know, I have compassion for people who serve Yah. That's what I have compassion for. For the wicked, look, man, we're choosing sides now. It's becoming obvious. Dave, you had mentioned them quite a few times on this platform not long ago. Hey, I'm shocked that you're shocked. You know, you're shocked that someone's shocked at the behavior. Well, it's got to we have to get beyond being shocked. It's wickedness and righteousness. What side are you on? And if you're on the side of righteousness, good. Then we're brothers, we're sisters. I don't care what race you are. If you're on the side of righteousness, then you are my friend, you are my brother. But if you're on the side of wickedness, I don't know you, I don't care. So what? You lost your arm. Oops. You know,
Yeah.
you're still alive, you know.
I'm glad you said though that that you would you'd speak to them, because we still have that idea that being watchmen. Yeah, if as a watchman, you've got to you've got to tell what you see, and if they listen and follow you, great. But if you don't tell them, let them go, then it's down to you.
It's on you.
Yeah, so that's why when the brother came up and started talking about the Messiah and all that,
yeah, that was kind of like okay, but you know,
so I had to say something though.
Yeah, he's still learning, and so are many others. Yeah, he's still learning, Dave. Here's something, Brother Benaiah, as you spoke about, certainly the great separation and the great divide, and the great divide will be which side you're on, the Most High's righteousness or absolute wickedness. Now, what we're going to see more and more of as it pertains to our people, there was a time when you could have done us any old kind of way, have dealt with us unjustly, and we would still want to turn a blind eye to the wicked and hug them and forgive them, even though we know what he has done to us is incorrect and vile. The days are coming. As a matter of fact, I would like to think that they're already here, that no longer will our enemies harm us and then ask us to pray for them and ask us to forgive them, or us being willing to pray for them or be willing to forgive them. We're going to turn to where we're going to just turn to the Most High and let you get your just desserts. Now, we're not going to glee over what's coming your way, but we're not going to hug you and forgive you. You have to think, if we're supposed to be the holy people, we were clearly given laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts by which to live. Judgments are nothing but punishments for law breaking. So how could you possibly kill my brother or kill my child and I tell you I forgive you? Those laws do not belong to me. That's number one.
New
Number
Testament
two,
does.
for me to forgive you for breaking the creator laws which does not belong to me, what I have just done, I have separated myself from the Most High, because what I'm failing to do is to enforce judgment and justice.
That's right.
And so therefore, I'm causing myself more harm by doing something that the Christians have taught us that we should do. When we kill you, hang you, beat you down, set you on fire, burn your house up, you're supposed to turn the other cheek and you're supposed to forgive me, which is in direct opposition to the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, precepts. And I hope our people consider these things. When you are wronged and someone has done an injustice to you, i.e., they have dealt with you in an unrighteous manner, for you to forgive unrighteousness and not dole out the proper punishment for it, you have walked contrary to the laws of the Creator. And that is something that our people are to consider.
Let me just let me just say this. Spoken from the mouth of the Psalms 101 in the New King James Version, and it reads thusly: I will sing of mercy and justice to you, O Yah. I will sing praise. I will behave wisely in a perfect way. Oh, when will you come to me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. I will set nothing wicked before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. Means you hate wickedness. It shall not cling to me. A perverse, which means a wayward, a stubborn, a rebellious heart shall depart from me. I will not know wickedness. Whoever secretly slanders his neighbor, him will I destroy. Listen to the words he's using. The one who has a haughty look and a proud heart, him I will not endure it. I won't play with him. I won't take that from him. My eyes shall be on the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He who walks in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He who works deceit shall not dwell within my house. He who tells lies shall not continue in my presence. Early will I destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all evildoers from the city of Yah. Now, it doesn't sound like he's playing. This is a serious vow. And I think we all should aspire to make that vow. This is a scripture, a particular scripture that I read every day, every day. Not a day has gone by where I haven't read that scripture. There's several others. And these things are constant reminders for me what type of person I should be. I should be walking in a blameless way before the Most High. And I shouldn't put up with people who are about nonsense. If you're about nonsense, if you're about evil, if you're about disobedience and perverse ways, I don't have nothing to do with you. And if my loved one, my mother or my father chooses that path, hey man, see you. Because I can't have nothing to do with you. I can't have that around me. What did he say? You can't do that in my presence. I won't endure this type of behavior, because that is a behavior where a person has chosen to walk contrary to the laws of the Most High. And if you show any camaraderie with someone who is of that behavior, what are you doing to Yah? Spitting in his face? I mean, who's going to take that? Certainly Yah's not going to take that. So we have to be circumspect. We have to be careful to observe all that law, because it is our righteousness. It's not a vain thing for us to keep the law. You know, it's not in vain that we do these things. It's not for no reason. This is our life. See, he put life and death before us. So, and he told us, choose life so that you and your seed may live. You know, and that's it. I mean, it's a choice, righteousness or wickedness. If you, my loved one, you choose wickedness, that's where I'm gonna part the ways. I'm gonna tell you, because you made wickedness your friend, I can't have anything to do with it. Don't contact me anymore. No problem. That's what you want to do. Hey, you know, I can't choose for you, but I could choose what I do, and that's not to deal with you. And that's how we have to be. It's that simple.
Does that extend to you know, those who still believe in an idol? I mean, because
if you've talked to them and you've showed them through scripture that idol cannot be justified, if you've shown them, they've asked and you've told them, and you tell them, and you constantly show them the differences between the two, that the New Testament does not correspond with the Old or Book of Remembrance or the Old Testament. You showed them, and they still want to hold on to that idol. Say, bro, I see you. Bye. Okay, I tried, because you can't change anybody, but no. You can leave it. You can certainly separate yourself from. See, you can't pick up a stone right now. Speaking of what Malachi spoke, executing the judgments. Because if we're in the land doing the law and we were to catch up with an idol, well, there's only one thing to do. You know, you put your hands on him and say, hey, this one right here, I'm a witness. I've seen it. And you pick up that stone and you start busting some heads. But we're not in the land. So true, right now, we can't execute the judgment upon him. But there is one thing you can do. You can choose to separate yourself from him and not deal with him anymore. You can make that choice. And that's an easy choice. Just don't deal with him anymore. Because think about it. They have turned their back on the Creator, the one who gives you life, who's doing all these things for you to keep you alive. They have chosen to turn their back on him. Man, I don't have nothing for you. I don't have anything for you. And that's it. That's the judgment that you can make. And that's the only judgment that we have at our fingertips right now. That's something that we can do. But if you don't want to do it, then you have to check your relationship with Yah to make sure, hey, man, how intact is my relation? How solid is this relationship with the Most High? What is this that I'm doing? Am I truly serving him with my whole heart and all my soul? Or am I doing it half? Well, I'll come with you. I know you want me to walk you to the store, but I'll come halfway. Yeah, I mean, well, look, I came up. Well, look, I walked a little longer than he did with you. You know, that give me credit. If you don't go, if you're not prepared to go all the way, don't start walking. You know, make your stand where you are. Choose this day. That's why we were told, choose this day who you will serve. You know, Joshua told him, Yahushua told him. He said, man, choose this day who you, but for me and my house, we gonna serve Yah.
But the thing is, a lot of people who follow the so-called New Testament, even if you tell them about the Book of Remembrance, the Old Testament, they don't want to know. A lot of people don't want to know, and they try. It doesn't matter what you tell them. It's like they're blind, completely blind.
It's true. And you're right, Henry. But the Most High did say he would make us blind, make us deaf, and put the fatness on our hearts. So when we see that, we should not be shocked. Just like when we see the violence being brought upon us, we should not be shocked. These are all part of the prophecies. Now, what I can say, certainly, we can't go loving those who hate the Most High. We can't do that. And so therefore, if we're going to walk in righteousness, the Most High is going to separate the righteous from the wicked. That there's going to be that great separation, that great divide. But as it pertains to the Christians and many of our people who are caught up in other forms of idolatry, they will come when the time is right. we may plant a seed that may work, that may not work. It could be to where we don't plant any seeds at all, but pure destruction that's going on around them may cause them to consider their ways and their doings and make them good and turn back onto the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, precepts. So I'm thinking we all come to this walk at a certain time in life. Some may come when crisis hits, and some may come when they're on accord before that time frame. So I'm certain that there's many, when things get tough, that's on the path that's going to fall off. And there are many of those who are not on the path right now. And when things get tough and they're forced to see, because the Most High did say that we have to bear witness that his words are true. And the only way you're going to bear witness, a witness sees. So all that destruction is going to have to be before you. And that's going to force people to go into that book. They may not want to hear what you've got to say, because what they're seeing, the situation just isn't hard enough right now for some of them. But as it gets crucial and there is no other choice, and there will be none, there may be some of those who are not on the path of righteousness right now that will make a quick U-turn.
That's right. We'll round up in about 5 minutes. Anybody else got any last things to say?
Dave?
Oh, well, here's the thing. We've got a brother on the chat who has just told us that he's his messianic. What in that case, what do we do? I mean, do we try and talk to him about it, and if he wants to hang on to it, do we eject him? What how does that work?
I'll tell you, my view on that is, if you can get their ear, if they're willing to hear your side, say they're just not convinced. I don't know really. Well, why don't you believe in the New Testament? And they're willing to listen and hear you out and look into it. Well, that's someone who's looking.
Yeah.
Certainly if I bump into someone and I think they're looking, they're just confused. Yeah, I may deal with them if they're asking questions and whatnot. Of course, I'm gonna deal with them. I'm not gonna be cruel to them. I'm gonna do my best to. But I'm talking about the hardcore. I'm dead in this stuff. You listen. There's nothing you can say. I know all that. I know what you're saying. But listen, I'm not going to hell. I'm just convinced that okay, well, go ahead. I won't talk to you anymore about that. I won't ever. If I see you on the street, I may say, hey, how you doing? But I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not going to have conversation with you, but and ultimately you're going to get tired of that cold shoulder, and you're going to either cut me off or you may be willing to listen, But no, I mean, the brother said that may even been a slip of a tongue, because I know we've had discussions before, and we've made it pretty clear that the New Testament is folly and that it's false. So maybe he's just still looking. I don't know. Maybe it hasn't clicked on him yet. But I'm talking about for those hardcore people who's dead set in it. They're a preacher. Your uncle's a preacher. He's not going to leave his church because he's making too much money or something like that. Yeah, I don't have time for that. I just soon not deal with it. That's my commitment to Yah. I mean, I know some people may not be on that level. I don't know. But if you're seeking Yah, you're going to come to that realization one day.
Dave, I think what Kwame was saying, I think he was just trying to, what the people from the New Testament are saying, he just wanted to get the input from the Book of Remembrance. So he worded it wasn't the correct.
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood what he's saying then.
No. So you understood what he's saying, but he was trying to mirror what they're looking at in the Revelations and all that nonsense. What he's trying to say, where did we come from the Book of Remembrance?
All right.
Same kind of thought. Can you understand?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fair enough. I'm hands up. I'm sometimes misunderstand and I go off on the handle.
No, that's quite all right. That's what I'm saying. I hope I'm making myself somewhat clear to everybody who may view this conference, this Zoom call that we've had. You know, the choice has to be made. You're gonna either choose to go the way of the Most High and keep His laws and commandments, or you're not. I mean, it's as simple as that. It all comes to the choice. You know, choose. You know, and that's what it is. You know.
I think I like to close with this point for me, and then you guys can add any input if you do have any. Uh, right now, I'm thinking now and in times past, people have always kind of looked for some type of shelter. Like the Most High said, we chose all types of covering, but none of it was of Him. So we try to cover in the church. We try to cover with our family members. We try to cover in large groups. We may get guns to cover. We may get, some people like to go hide at the bottom of a barrel, take some pills, get high, whatever the case may be. So we've tried to seek all types of covering to find comfort, but we have not sought the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, precepts. It's high time that we do this. A lot of our people are guilty of trying to be a part of something. So much so, they end up being a part of anything. And most times those things are not beneficial to them. And most times they're being taken advantage of, i.e. fleeced for their monies, etc., because they want to be a part of the happening thing, the popular thing, the up and coming thing, etc., etc. So I would advise our people, as well as the heathen, to seek the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, precepts, be a part of something that can actually benefit you, meaning if the God that you serve does not empower you and strengthen you, He is no God at all. And that's something for us to consider.
Well, I guess I'd say also that as events unfold in the world today, it should start being obvious to everyone, you know, our people and everyone else, that the Most High's word is coming true. And I've listened to, I mean, there are a couple of you know, JC worshippers that, you know, I'll actually listen to, because they'll be talking about other things not related to JC, but related to what's going on in the world. And I noticed they have a hard time shoehorning JC into the situation. You know, it's like it's obvious it's the Old Testament unfolding, but they've somehow got to shove their idol in there, and it must be getting harder and harder to force that guy in there, because it's obvious that the Old Testament is playing out, not the New. Yeah, to Brother Benaiah, his point, you know, that I think subconsciously they're starting to be aware that their idol isn't a part of this, but they're still hanging on to it, you know. I don't know, out of fear, because I guess fear is part of it, because
that's part of it.
That narrative is you believe in me or you're going to hell and damnation forever, you know.
And that's what they're afraid of. I think they take the position that, because if they listen to someone who's Yah only, who believes in the Old Testament only and takes that very seriously, I think that their arguments can't stand up to someone who's well versed in the law, because they'll bring these points up and they'll show that, man, the New Testament doesn't make sense. Look, it says it's this, but you could clearly see, look at all these points, look at all the, and they see it. But I think what it is with a lot of them is that fear of hellfire. I think so. They feel, well, if this is not true, then I'm still safe, because at least I won't go to hell. But if this guy is wrong, then man, I gotta go to hell. I'm not gonna chance it. And they're afraid of this hellfire, this whole teaching of life, spend eternity in hell. I mean, that's just a blatant lie. It's not supported by the scriptures, the true scriptures, the Old Testament. It's not supported by scripture at all. But they're afraid. They're afraid of it. You know, that's what they fear. You know, that's my take on it. Because I mean, just logically, if anybody who can read, really, if you read the Book of Remembrance, and then you try to read the New Testament, that doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. I spent this whole past week on Facebook, you know, and just destroying this whole New Testament notion, just completely obliterated. I mean, you should see all the repostings I'm getting, people telling me, man, keep it up. You're doing a good job. Keep it up, you know. So I've done all I can do, but I don't think they can stand up. I've had a few people come on the post and try to argue the New Testament, and I ask them questions, they run away. You just ask them questions. It's in the New Testament. Okay, well, is this true or is this true? Which part? Because even in the New Testament itself, they're saying two different things. So I ask them, which one is true? Okay, this one's true, so don't disregard this one completely. Well, no, don't disregard that, you know. So they know the confusion. They're just afraid of that hellfire. That's what it is.
I've had the same thing just recently. And I asked a guy, okay, how did Judas die?
Right.
And
that's a good one.
And they said, well, okay, he got hung, and then his body rotted, and then he fell down and split open, you know. But well, hang on, how did he buy the field if he was already hanging, you know? Because and one account, the priest bought the field, right, and another account, he bought the field. So how does that work? And they're doing all this mental gymnastics to try and, you know, shoehorn that story and get both stories in there. It's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I'm just saying that they you know, they at some level must know. They must know that you know, this isn't right, and yet they're still trying to hang on to this thing.
I'll tell you what I think. Brother Benai, I'm thinking that you're partially correct in the fact that they're fearful of hell. I've just explained to someone the other day that hell is nothing but death. It is the pit. It is the grave, nothing more. You've never read where such and such died and went to hell. You've never read it in the Book of Remembrance. You've never heard it out of the patriarchs. Such and such died and he was gathered onto his people, or he was gathered onto his fathers. And that's all you will hear. No one's ever died and went up to the heavens with the Most High, or died and went down to hell. It's just never happened. But as far as the fear of the heathen, of them knowing, once you start to explain to them, okay, the people that's in the land are not the house of Israel. Let me explain to you why. These are the curses of the children of Israel. These people don't match him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now they're looking at you. You can see the wheels turning. And you start to explain other things to them. Once you take the foundation that a man has built his whole life around and you snatch it away from him, you're going to have a bunch of defensive mechanisms come into place. And so more so than the fear of hell and all of these other things is the fear of, what if I am to believe this? And if what you're saying is true, what are the punishments for me and my people, including my children, for what we have done to God's people? That's the fear. And so therefore, I would rather die not believing any of that than to believe that and know what the destruction lies ahead for my children and possibly me in this generation. I think that's their biggest fear. I can't begin to imagine switching shoes with the heathen and a man coming and telling me, you know what? I know you think you're such and such, and you think these people are such and such, but you know, this is the real situation. And someone telling me that my people have mistreated God's people and can take me in the book and show me that who God's people really are, and can show me what the punishments are for those who have mistreated God's people. And God's people, and I go read that. That would be a horrifying thing. I'm thinking that is more frightening than any hell or heaven, because you can't see a hell,
Right.
but you can see those words on that book.
I think
page.
you're right as it pertains to the heathen. What I was talking about, I'll be honest with you, what I was thinking when he was saying you talk to people, I was thinking the Israelites. You know, they're afraid of hellfire. I don't think they, you know, because they're Israel. You know, but yeah, and speaking to the heathen, I could almost imagine how they would feel.
Can you imagine that?
That would be terrifying. I think you're right.
Yeah.
They would probably, a lot of them would come to the conclusion, well, you know what? It all must be garbage. I don't believe any of
That's
it.
it.
I agree with you.
Like,
Yeah, if we're talking specific about the heat.
if when I talk to the so-called Christians, when you try to tell them about the Book of Remembrance, because they've been indoctrinated so much and gone to church since they were small, most of them don't even want to listen, because they it's like they got it ingrained in their mind, on their body, and it's like, JC, no, they can't accept that he never existed. They don't.
Right.
Once you tell them that he never existed, and you're trying to explain, they don't want to listen. They just, it's for them. They say it's like you're talking nonsense.
Yeah, but that's a natural response, Henry, because what you're doing, you're taking these defense mechanisms that this man has built his whole life around, and you're stripping them away. And he has no response for it, because most of them, they're not well read. They've never studied the book. They have no means to rebut what you're saying. They cannot contend with what's being said. So obviously, I'm going to put up these defensive walls, and that's what they're going to do. But that's why it's good. Well, in my case, having the channel is a great thing. Why? Because there will come that time where that man either believed in JC or believed in nothing. And he's going to be up one night, his spirit is troubled, and he's just scrolling, and bam, he finds something, he turns it on, and the Most High Spirit begins to work on him right then. They will come to these things on their own accord. It's the best way. When you try to put that on them, i.e. man to man, you're going to get resistance every time. There's going to be a place in time in their spirit where they're going to be led there. That's my opinion. And it's easier to do that as well, because then there's no back and forth. You know, our people, we love a back and forth to try to make it to where I'm going to top you, or I'll know more than you, et cetera, et cetera. When they're sitting down with their book and they're listening to that program, it's the Most High before them, their own desires for what they're seeking in that word. And so therefore, they don't have to be listening to a whole bunch of back and forth. It's their spirit and the Most High right there, right then, in the solitude of their home or where they may be. And a man has to be in a certain state of mind or in a certain place for him to even receive such information.
Okay.
I'll just end my, with this thought that just popped into my head. I guess when you were talking, not directly related. The time that a group of heathen were well, they lost their mind essentially, was when I said, if reincarnation, and this was before I knew who I was, I said, if reincarnation was real, I'd come back as a black man every time. And they lost their minds. And I meant it.
I wouldn't have it any other way if that was real.
I would not have it any other way.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
There's only one thing I'd change. I'd be darker. I'd be blacker. That's it. Outside of that,
Actually,
I'd keep my hair, Brother Benai. That's it.
Yeah, I'd keep my hair. I'd be blacker. But that's it. That's the only thing.
Actually, I like ruddy. I like ruddy.
I'll be a little black. I ain't gonna lie. I'd have a heavier melanin count. That'd be about it. The only thing I change.
Okay.
Yeah.
We call it to the end. Yeah. Okay.
It's been a beautiful conversation, brothers, as always. I think we've shared some great information that our people can actually utilize it today. The minute they hear the program, they will learn how to pray. They will understand clearly what's required for their salvation. And certainly they should have a clear understanding of what their deliverance will look like. It will be violent. It will be bloody. And so therefore they have to be prepared for all of these things and to be able to let go of all of the things that they're holding on to currently, to ensure that they're not part of the casualty when these things begin to take place.
And I'll just say I've met a few people now who have heard our little chats here, and they're finding a lot of value in them. So
that's great.
So yeah,
that's great.
It's good.
Guys, praise. And the only thing I would say is, once again, I say this for the general audience. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Anyone who happens upon this broadcast, that's YouTube, seek the Most High with all your heart. Read the book of the law, the book of remembrance, Genesis to Malachi. You got one. I know you got one in the house somewhere. If you don't have one, you're looking at this on a computer. Look, you'll download it on your computer and get that book, but you must read that law. You must read who you are. If you're Israel, you must read it. You must pray to Yah, and you must do what he says. That is important. I can't stress that more than enough. You have to read, you have to do it. You have to. There's no shortcuts. You have to do it. And do what Yah says. Keep his laws and commandments. You find that it will be a blessing in your life. Your life will become easier, and you start understanding the world around you better. Once you do that, you start seeing exactly what is what. So by all means, Yah is praised, keep his laws and live.
1611 King James Version.
Yeah, get that 1611 King James Version. Get that, and there's other versions. I mean, it you know, they vary, but you know, if you're really seeking Yah, you'll find him. That 1611, that'll be a good start. Get that, and then get whatever else you have to get. But start reading now. Start seeking now. That's the point. Seek Yah out.
Now let me add this before we close, Henry.
Okay.
Now there's many of our people that's actually online that's mixing the Most High's Torah with Christianity and whatever else. So I would like to take this moment to ensure that those who are of the nations, that the heathen do understand. There's many Israelites out here speaking that you cannot be saved. The Most High did make it plain that his house will be a house for all people. So let not the heathen be discouraged to where they feel as though, well, there's no place for me. I don't need to turn to the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. Yes, you do. This law applies to everyone on the entire earth. So let not the heathen, for regardless of what your forefathers may have done, do understand if you are to turn to the Most High with your whole heart and your whole soul, and you're to walk in his law, statutes, judgments, and precepts, you will be saved and spared like any other Israelite. And if an Israelite chooses not to walk in the law and a heathen does, well, the heathen will be spared and that Israelite will be destroyed. So to the heathen, do not be discouraged in thinking that there is no place for you in the midst of the Most High's people. And peace and Yah bless.
Peace and Yah bless. It's been great, brothers. As always, it's been real edifying. I'm sure we stuck to the script, whatever the script was. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, we just discussed it.
I was ready to elevate the Most High, and that's my job, is to exalt his name, to extol his name, and him only, no other idol with him. If you're not extolling Yah only, you might want to check what path that you're on, because I don't think you're on the right one. It's Yah only, everybody, and Yah first, always.
Okay, peace and Yah bless.
Peace and Yah bless.
Peace and Yah bless, brothers. Until next time.
All right. Peace and Yah bless, y'all.
Peace and Yah bless.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, bye.
You the same, Dave.
Bye.